Okay, this is going to be a discussion video how Izanagi and Izanami works. All right, I'm gonna break this video into two parts. All right, because it has to be addressed because most people who say who talks about Izanagi um is more do deal with dealt with negativity. Oh, it's this is a plot hole. This is a retcon. It give Duchias more OP. With their shouting gun. It's a shittier ability. All that stuff, right? All that stuff. I'm here to debunk all that claim. All right. How oh Madara is a walking plot hole because Madara used it without using Sindri DNA, and I'm going to debunk that plot hole immediately. All right, but first thing first. All right, before I debunk those so-called plot holes, I have to explain how Izanagi and Izanami works. Okay. All right, so brief synopsis how Izanagi and Izanami works. All right, so the first part will be Izanagi, how that ability work. So I open um the tab in Narutopedia because Narutopedia is a trusty Wikipedia. All right, more so than even Dragon Ball wiki, which is very unfortunate, but it is the truth. Narutopedia is the most trustworthy site. You can also look at it from manga or anime. You can take a screenshot in panel, or you can take a screenshot on the anime episode. But I don't have time for that. All right. Besides that, I have to edit. It's a lot of work, so I just opened the Narutopedia and tell you guys how this ability works. Okay. So first and foremost, how Izanagi works. Izanagi is a genjutsu performed with the Sharingan. Alright? With a normal genjutsu, it usually will apply an illusion to a target's senses, causing the target to experience things that are not real. With Izanagi, the user applies an illusion to reality itself, giving the user control over what it is and not real for as long as Izanagi is active. Users typically do this in order to protect themselves, negating any injuries they receive or even their deaths. When this happens, their injured self fades away as an illusion, and their non injured self immediately materializes in the previous self's place. In the anime, users are shown extended Izanagi influence beyond their personal reality, affecting their surroundings and those within it. Izanagi is based on the creation of all things technique, used by the sage of the sixth path to turn imagination into reality. The process is explained to use spiritual energy, which forms the basis of yang release to create shape from nothingness. Then, through the application of physical energy, which forms the basis of yang release, the shape has life breathing in it. Members of the Uchiha clan, as descendant of the sage, perform Izanagi with their Sharingan, in exchange for brief control over reality with Izanagi grants them. The Sharingan that they perform in it will become blind. Alright? Only awakened the Rinnegan restores the eye's vision. Because the Uchiha prize their Sharingan to lose it in a way prompt them to label it forbidden jutsu. That is how Izanagi method is. Okay. Furthermore, because Uchiha only possess half the Sage Chakra, they can only keep Izanagi active for a few seconds. To maximize Izanagi duration, it is necessary to recreate the Sage Chakra by also having genetic material of the Sage of the descendant, the Senju. Ah, this is key. This is very key. Danzo received both Uchiha and Senju implants, allowing him to use Izanagi for 1 minute, as this is still not very long. He has 10 Sharingan implanted in his right arm, giving him up to 10 minutes worth of Izanagi with breaks in between as he chooses. Since he is not an Uchiha, each use of Izanagi causes Danzo chakra to drop significantly. Obito Uchiha, because he has control over the Senju cells he uses, is able to keep a single Izanagi active for significantly longer than Danzo. As with other Sharingan-based techniques, Izanagi can be programmed to activate under certain conditions. Madara Uchiha did so to undo his death after he been, defeated, restoring him to life unbeknownst to anyone. Alright, so this is how Izanagi works. Izanagi is basically turn reality, turn fantasy to reality. Alright? Turn fantasy to reality. It's almost a similar ability like Aizen, Kirikatsu Getsu, which you can control all five senses. Right? It's similar to that, right? So it's a very useful and very most dangerous technique, right? You can turn fantasy to reality, right? Any way you choose this, right? But the method how it works, you need both Sharingan, the Uchiha, and you need Senju, which is the Senju cells. It don't have to be directly from Hashirama, right? Because Hashirama is such a famous, most powerful Senju, right? He, and of course, through Orochimaru influence, right? He other characters able to gain that, especially through Danzo, because Orochimaru and Danzo used to work together even before the series started. All right, and then followed by, of course, Madara implanted, Zetsu's half of recovery of Obito, and it just spread like wildfire, right? Spread like wildfire. But it doesn't necessarily needs to be through Hashirama. It could also be Tobirama, through other Senju that from that clan, right? So you need both the Senju and the Uchiha to activate the Izanagi. But the Uchiha, they can use it easy with Izanagi, but the price is they'll make their eyesight go blind, right? So let's address the so-called quote-unquote plot hole. Plot hole number one. How Madara able to use Izanagi if he did not have the Senju DNA, right? Through that battle, if you look closely, he bitten Hashirama. He bitten Hashirama flesh, right? And by doing so, it able him to activate the Izanagi, right? Under a certain condition, because he faked his own death. So after he spit out the Hashirama cell, right? For a long period of time, he able to, like, through his old age, when he became very old, he able to restore his eyes and awaken the Renegade. Obito, see, so I'm gonna give you how three characters able to use Izanagi, right? And it's all the same method. All the same method. Danzo able to use it because he implanted Hashirama cell with 10 shining guns and use it for 10 minutes, right? But since he's now Uchiha, it drains his chakra significantly. Obito Uchiha, he could use Izanagi longer than Danzo. I would say, in my estimation, he could use it for 1 hour, right? For 1 hour. Because this is how he defeat Conan. This is how he defeat Conan with her paper bombs, right? All half of his body is Hashirama cells. So obviously he used the Izanagi, make his eyesight go blind, right? Through the manga and anime, his Sharingan go blind, and then that's how he took and retrieved back the Renegade, right? Madara can use Izanagi, right? After his fight with Hashirama, he bitten Hashirama, right? Without Hashirama even aware of it, he bitten him, right? And then after he bit him, he activate the Izanagi, right? And then use a clone to fake his death, right? Under a certain condition. So that's how Izanagi works. It's all the same method. So all three characters has Hashirama cell. Danzo has Hashirama Cell, Obito has Hashirama Cell, and of obviously Madara has Hashirama Cells. All these three characters has had have Hashirama Cells. They had Hashirama Cells. Yes, it's not a plot hole. It's not a plot hole. Is it a broken Hack's ability? Yes, but like other abilities, Izanagi is no different than other abilities from other series that are also hacks, that are also broken. But the better parts about Izanagi is that it's it's the meaning behind it, the restriction that it has, right? Because it's labeled forbidden jutsu, right? Like the Edo Tensei, like Shikafujin, like the Reaper Death Seal, right? It is labeled a forbidden jutsu because Uchiha keeps spamming it back then, right? But there's a counter ability, which I'm gonna get into the second part. This is where the Izanami comes in. This is where the Izanami comes in to counter the Izanagi, right? So, which I will get into that second part. All right. So I already debunked that ridiculous criticism about Madara using Izanagi without Senju when he had it. He had the Senju. He had the Senju cells because he bit in Hashirama during that battle. All right. And I also, when people say, "Oh, this is broken or hacked ability," but well, this is Shonen Jump manga. What the fuck you expected? All right, then stop reading Shonen Jump period and go to read more mature series or more realism series. So I debunk. So I talk about how Izanagi works. Now I'm gonna talk about how Izanami works. Okay, so I'm gonna put up the tab again, right? I'm gonna type in Izanami, right? And this is also a great changer in the Naruto Fourth Great Ninja War, right? So, let me briefly talk about the synopsis how Izanami works. All right, is a genjutsu which affects the target through physical sensation shared between them and the user perform the illusion. Like its counterpart, it in exchange for a temporary ability that it grants the user, the Sharingan with which Izanami is cast is rendered blind and loses its lights forever. According to Itachi, this technique in Izanagi from a pair, but unlike the latter, which is technique capable of altering destiny, Izanami is instead one that decides it. All right. So Izanami, it differs from Izanagi because at least with Izanami, it does not require Senju cells, right? Because the reason why Izanagi requires Senju cells because the Sage of the Sixth Path created himself to create all jutsus, all ninjutsus. All right. So the Uchiha since the Uchiha, of course, comes from this descendant of the Senju, right? It has the Akira power, right? It has so the Uchiha descend from the Akira eyes, right? Whereas the Senju descend from the physical body, right, of the Sage, right? So it even ties in how Sasuke and Naruto received the Hagoromo's power, right? Free will because they descended from him, right? Initially Naruto and Sasuke are great grandsons to Hagoromo. They really are, right? So that's pretty interesting. So not only this ability is meaningful in terms of feats, but it's also meaningful in terms of bloodline. All right. So Izanami, it could decide one fate. So through the battle between Itachi and Kabuto, which is a great underrated battle in my opinion. All right. That battle is like really up there, right? It's very underrated up there because people, overgloss it or overlook how fantastic that fight, how that fight set up and the outcome of that fight was, right? For So because you don't even have the main character to stop the war. It was a side character like Itachi stopped the war. That what makes the fight, the showdown between Kabuto versus Itachi so great, right? Because Itachi is not even the main character, right? So Izanami is like a loophole, right? And this loophole, it can decide one fate because this fate, once a character put upon the other character, it's trapped in a forever loophole that they can't escape from, right? They have to come to terms with themselves and their individuality to escape that loophole. So I thought that was very interesting, very interesting. That I have to also talk about it, how this is not a retcon or this is not a OP status broken jutsu, because these two counter jutsus, Izanagi and Izanami, works hand in hand, right? It's not really a broken jutsu when you think about it, because all the restriction it has is that one can go blind if they use it, right? So, and you see how different characters use it in their own different ways too. It's not like they using the same way. It makes the plot dull. And I thought that was very well executed on Kishimoto's part, right? Very, because Izanagi and Izanami is a very complex ability. You know what I'm saying? So, like I said, it's not just ability that one person randomly make, right? It comes from the bloodline. It's a descendant jutsu, and I thought that was a very interesting concept by Kishimoto. All right, so that's the explanation how Izanagi and Izanami works. Just to recap what I just said, Izanagi, it requires the Sharingan and the Senju cells to activate it, right? But since Danzo is a non-Uchiha, he can only use it for 10 minutes. It wasn't explained how long Obito can use it, but my estimation is for 1 hour, because he has half his body is Hashirama cells, and then Madara, he used it because during that battle he bit in Hashirama's cell. He bit in Hashirama's arm, and that's how once he's and that's how he able to use it under a condition by faking his death, right? And when he grow old, like in old age, when you see old man Madara, right, through Obito's flashback, right, how he survived from the boulder, right, he able to awaken the Renegon. It was a pretty much what you call a happy accident. All right, so that's how it works, and hopefully you guys will stop saying this is a plot hole, this is a plot hole, this is a plot hole, which is not. All right, it's not a plot hole. So thanks for watching. Have a nice day. Peace.